Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Leadership Void podcast. I'm Enrique with my co-host Vince to bring you the best in our veteran, military, spouse, and first responder community. And Vince will introduce today's guest.
Hey, thanks, Enrique. Happy March. Middle of the month. Here we are, all the way from Tucson, Arizona. Andrea Singsass. Guess what? She is the owner and executive coach of the Tyne Group. So, Andrea, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for the warm welcome from Davis Monthan here in Tucson. Excited to be here. I own my own business. I started my own business because this military life made it a necessity. I couldn't keep picking up and starting over and starting fresh without feeling like I was taking a step back. So starting my own business was the way that I grew professionally. And it's been a wild ride. It's been a journey. But it's been exciting for sure. My business is executive coaching, leadership coaching. I work with leaders to help make them better and get them to where they want to be.
Absolutely. And we are so happy that you are in that field. We're also sharing that community and so happy for what has transpired for you in the last several months. So many accolades and well worth mentioning that you are one of the best that I have seen. So thank you for what you do, not only in the military community, but in the executive community. And talking about the executives, tell us a little bit more about the Tyne Group.
Absolutely. So when we were stationed at Offutt in Omaha, I finished up my MBA. And during that MBA, it was an executive MBA program. There were a lot of students in my cohort that were moving from one role to another, or they were getting promotions. It was a time of a lot of change for people. And people kept coming to me and asking me questions or advice, or not necessarily for help, but just wisdom. And I thought, man, I need to monetize this. This is something that for whatever reason comes easy for me and is a need for a lot of people throughout their journey, not just at the beginning, not just at the end. This isn't once you get to the sweet. This is the whole time. There are different changes and milestones throughout your career that you need just some advice and somebody to speak into it from an impartial perspective that maybe opens some ideas or some thoughts for you. And so that's why the Tyne Group started. Is it was something that came naturally for me and something that would allow me to maintain one role, one business, one professional growth track for myself, no matter where in the world we were placed. And so that started in Omaha several years ago, right after my first daughter was born. That's why it's called the Tyne Group. And it just took off from there. And here we are. Oh my gosh, 5 years later?
Well, thank you for sharing your gifts with the world. Actually, I appreciate you, and I actually monetized this 5 years ago. So knowing all this great stuff that you learned through these 5 years, any entrepreneurship challenges you like to share or lessons learned, or how do you give back to the community?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, that's a loaded question. That could go so many different ways. So advice for entrepreneurs, first and foremost, it's never going to look like what you thought it was going to be. And it's going to be pretty lonely at first and a lot of the time, because most people aren't going to have the capital or the funding to just hire a team and hire the help. And so you are the chief everything officer. You're doing the behind the scenes, the kneecap to kneecap coaching, and everything in between. And that is hard. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of grinding to get to where you want to be, to where you can start to invest back into the business by hiring help, hiring or implementing systems and processes that make your job easier. So from an entrepreneur standpoint, the first bit is the hardest. And I commend anybody that is in that piece of the journey, because it is definitely worth it, definitely worthwhile to be able to set your own hours and make your business fit your life and to fit your goals. But it's not without struggles. It's not just what you see on LinkedIn. It's not just what you see, from Instagram or from podcasts like this. There's so much behind the scenes that takes place to get you to here. And here isn't the end. There's still so much ahead. as an entrepreneur, you're always striving for that horizon, right? So that is my one thing that I would say specifically to the military spouses that are looking at this as an opportunity. Man, you got the grit. You can do it. That is my theme song, is you can do it. If you can PCS in 6 weeks notice, if you can re-enroll your kids in school in less than 2 weeks, if you can figure out all of the things to make life work during continuous TDYs and deployments and things like that, you have the problem solving skills and everything you need to figure out what you need to do to earn money as an entrepreneur. You have it. There are so many resources and tools out there to help you with the formal business stuff. If you got a great idea, if it can support an income stream for your family and help you be more financially stable as a military family, just go and don't work for free. That's it.
Absolute great advice. And as we're celebrating Women's History Month, the International Women's Day was just a couple of days ago, but we're celebrating this month and the women in our lives that are just rocking it. You're one of them. Our military spouses that are the female type are rocking it. And just to all your points that you've shared, so many different challenges that come, and they surpass them all, right? Sometimes with just flying colors, and we're so appreciative of our military spouse, the female complement, and just all that they do. So what's on the horizon for the Tyne Group?
So for me and my business, it has been a very busy year. Like you said, I have gotten more into speaking lately and a lot more into content, because the content is a great opportunity to share just some of my thoughts and ideas for free with people who might need them. And eventually they might want to come and do coaching with me one-on-one, but if they don't, that's okay too. Hopefully I can help out a lot of people no matter where they are from an economic standpoint. So that's part of how I give back too. And for me, what I'm doing with my business is a lot more speaking within the next probably 12 months. It's really kind of taken off. And I do have some other military related projects that I've been working on with some nonprofits that have been, a great way to utilize my skill set and kind of the language I speak as a military spouse and give back to my community that way, in a meaningful way from a project management standpoint.
Absolutely. Coaching to speaking. So whenever you're in Orlando, Florida, please let us know. We'll be happy to entertain you and break bread with you. So Andrea, what do you do to keep proficient and sharp in your field? Any skill sets that aid you to thrive in your professional life?
Exactly. There are a few things that I do. First of all, I stay engaged with my network, because as an entrepreneur, again, it can be lonely and you can find a lot of people doing similar things, different industries, different services that they're providing. Staying connected with somebody, anybody, a network to help you stay strong. In those days that you're like, I think I'm going to close up shop, go talk to somebody, find somebody, because there are ebbs and flows to every business in every season. So that's one thing that I do personally, but also professionally, because it is so important to have that support network to feel like, maybe a little bit of reassurance to know you have what it takes. Also, I do a lot of reading. I read whenever I can. It isn't as much as it used to be with 3 small people running around my house that need me often. But I do find a lot of ideas come from reading all different kinds of things. I read the Wall Street Journal every day. I have a whole stack of books on my nightstand. So I read and listen to podcasts a lot too. So those are some things that I do. And I also have one tip that hopefully helps people. I tune out the noise. Any of the negative, I tune it out. I stop scrolling. I block, delete, whatever I need to do to get that out, because that doesn't help anybody. It just takes up space that could otherwise be used for efficiency, headspace, space in my feed that could be replaced with something positive. So that would be my one tip too for people who are struggling to find ways to be efficient and to sharpen their skills, is get rid of the stuff that doesn't need to be there.
A very powerful tip indeed. Often we are challenged with all the things that come at us, and blocking the noise is probably one of the best things you could do to ensure that you make available that space that once was occupied by something negative. So, great tip there. Now, as an executive coach, in your speaking, I'm sure you share a lot of things that will help people. But as you was growing up, I'm sure that there was something that was given to you. You saw it of value and said, "Hey, I need to hold on to this because this is definitely going to take me the long way down." What would that be, and that you would share with someone today?
A few things. First of all, when I was in high school, my mom would tell me, "You are who you hang out with." That can go from your teenagers hanging out with the people that you would prefer them not to be hanging out with, all the way into your professional career. And I've heard it and said it before that thoroughbreds run with thoroughbreds. Surround yourself with the people you want to be like. You can't do it alone. You might as well surround yourself with good ideas and positive intentions. So that's one of them. Another one that happened later on in my professional career was to be clear is to be kind. And so much can be gained from bringing clarity to any situation with regard to communication, whether it is you need to work with an employee, a vendor, anything of that nature. Things aren't going the way they're supposed to be going. Well, look at yourself as a leader. Did you bring the clarity to the situation needed to produce the best outcomes? Did you give that employee all the information and clear outline of what success looks like in order for them to succeed? You can't just expect people to deliver without first looking at yourself and ask, did you bring clarity that you needed to?
Oh, absolutely. That's some great advice. Definitely who you surround yourself is who actually you're going to grow from or take you down, right? And also the communication component, the clarity component of being communicative. Sorry. So I think you're totally on the money there, Andrea. I definitely love to hear that advice. Now, how about a memorable aha moment, a leadership aha moment that you have that you love to share with our audience? Which would it be?
I would say it was early on in business, and anytime that I've been going through a growth phase or maybe a change, is that I am responsible for the outcome. I am responsible for the outcome. It is just me. And this is for me personally as an entrepreneur or a business owner, but it's also for any clients that I worked with, or even when before I owned my own business, when I was a director of marketing or project manager, is I was responsible for the outcome. I'm the only one that's looking out for me. And that comes in all different shades, right? Some things are really exciting and new and fresh, and I was responsible for that outcome. But then, likewise, when things kind of went down the wrong road, I was responsible for that outcome. So it's that was probably the aha moment that keeps popping up in different ways, and oftentimes when I don't expect it.
Now, those outcomes, as you mentioned, do sometimes go down the wrong way and pose challenges and opportunities for change. So, how do you strategize with your team to deal with those moments that change will come and they have to adjust to, or a challenge may come?
Well, one thing that I will often do is think about what we want the outcome to look like, right? We already know what's started to happen, but every single day, every single challenge, no matter where you land in that journey, you have an opportunity to pause and refresh, take a look at what you want that outcome to be. And then it's bringing it back to project management. How do we get there? This is what we want the outcome to be. This is where we are today. How can we bring those 2 points a little bit closer? And what are the steps that are needed? And I think often that's so much of what I bring to coaching is this is where you are. This is where you want to be. Let's get those ends to meet a little bit closer. And as far as the outcome and how you view it, your perspective, if you view all of these outcomes as negative, it's okay if something goes incredibly poorly and you are just not at all happy with it. That's fine. I mean, I've been fired from jobs. Like, I get it. I have been there in terms of people maybe that are experiencing these layoffs, or they're moving and they have to leave a role to PCS or wherever these endings and beginnings are happening, or these outcomes that maybe they didn't want. It's okay to sit in some of those feelings for a minute, but don't stay there long. You have an opportunity to just pause, reevaluate, and see where you want to be from where you are today, and make a plan to get there.
I love it. I'm shaking my head here. All the great advice, basically offering all this clarity, right? Going through these outcomes and being in the right headspace. You could be your worst enemy or your best friend. So this is amazing having Andrea here. For folks listening in and want to reach you, Andrea, or the Tyne Group, how do they go about doing so?
Absolutely. I am most active on LinkedIn. That's where I have a great network and a great community, and where I share a lot of my thoughts about leadership and also military spouse advocacy. So find me on LinkedIn, follow me there. But then I also have the same content going on Facebook and on Instagram. And I do have a website where, if you're interested in coaching or you want to sign up for my newsletter, it's just thetynegroup.com.
And we will absolutely have all of that information as part of the video and show notes so that you can get a hold of Andrea. It has been such a pleasure not only to know you, but to once again hear you. And I tell you, folks, that you will not be going wrong if you reach out to her. If you want to reach out to us at the Leadership Void Podcast, TheLeadershipVoid@gmail.com is where you'll send that correspondence. If you love a topic covered on leadership, or you would like to see a specific guest, we would love to hear about it there. But it's been a pleasure, Andrea, and we're looking forward to more successes from you down the road.
Thank you so much for having me. Always good to chat with you guys.
Yes, Andrea, and also want to let everybody know we're so grateful for our sponsors. We have VEI, FAVOB, and those who definitely gave these wonderful shirts, which is Triple Nickel. We want to thank them and thank everybody that's doing some wonderful things. And happy Women's History Month to those out there. But Andrea, it's all about you today. Thank you for being on the show, and have a great day.
Thank you.